In the modern world of constant stimulation, can you remember the last time you were actually bored? Today, I'm going to break down the 5 most important reasons that I've introduced boredom back into my life. Boredom is a feature, not a bug, and by eradicating it from our lives completely, we have stripped ourselves of some of the most important opportunities for growth, creativity, and problem solving. By introducing it back into my life, I have opened up a world of possibilities and unlocked skills I did not remember I had. But what I didn't expect was how reconnecting with boredom actually changed my entire perspective on the world around me. I know that I largely live a very busy life. I always have lots of things going on. I'm always spinning lots of plates in the air. When there's all of that stuff going on, it can kind of be very fun to live in that chaos. Because you're always running from one thing to the next, there's never really an opportunity to be bored. Also, with the introduction of these devices into our lives, it becomes a lot harder to be bored. Every time I have a second at a bus stop or a barber shop or somewhere that I'm waiting, I can pull up my phone and start scrolling. These devices eradicated the small amount of boredom that we still had in our lives. But is boredom valuable? Like, boredom seems like one of those things that should just go away. Why is there any necessity for boredom? About 1.5 years ago, I reintroduced boredom back into my life. Having a space where I'm not rushing from one thing to the next and not distracted by these devices, I've noticed some profound differences. Number one, problem solving. When I sit down expressly trying to solve a problem, like that is the thing that I am there to do, I will write down notes, I'll try to come up with ideas, I'll try to think through the problem, I'll try to brainstorm it, maybe even talk it out loud, but often I just find myself running in circles. And pretty soon I'm getting distracted because it's no fun trying to solve this problem that really is not gonna go anywhere. Whereas when I'm bored, when I don't have anything that I should be doing, suddenly a solution to the problem that I've been thinking about pops into my head. It's like my subconscious is working on it in the background, trying to solve it without me realizing it. And because I've given it this problem, being bored is like a sandbox for my mind to run and work on and try and solve this problem that I've been dealing with. Creatively filling my time. One of the things that I've loved the most about incorporating boredom back into my life is that it makes me think about creative ideas. When I'm in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, when I'm running around from the grocery store to go get the oil change, to go pick up the dry cleaning, I'm just running through 1,000 different things. I don't have time to think about creative ideas. Being truly bored means that I'm thinking about those creative ideas. I'm coming up with pieces of a story that I've been working on. I'm thinking about the premise of a new TV show I might want to write. I'm thinking about characters for a movie. It is giving me space for my mind to be creative. When I'm busy all of the time running around, those creative ideas just don't pop into my head. But when I have time to actually think, when my brain is trying to occupy an empty space, those ideas start to flow in. And some of the biggest creative ideas that I've ever had have come in moments where I am totally bored. If you don't know what you want to do with your life, allow yourself to be bored. Go wash dishes or lay bricks or be that guy on the side of the road that has the stop and the slow sign. If you're doing a job, doing something that you don't want to be doing, the entire time that you're there, you're going to be envisioning what it is that you would rather be doing with your time. This is actually how I conceptualized my film and video production business. After college, I was really trying to figure out how I was going to do film and video. I had a lot of ideas, but I wasn't really sure how it was all going to come together. So I took a job over the summer doing rehabs for apartment buildings. I was basically doing like low-level construction, replacing like outlets and baseboards and that kind of thing. And I hated it. Every single second of every single day, I hated my job. I didn't want to go to work in the morning. I just hated being there. Everything about it sucked. But every single day that I was there, I dreamt about what I'd rather be doing. What are the steps that I need to take to get out of this situation? How could I create a business that could sustain me outside of doing this? By doing something that I truly hated. I had the activation energy to say, this is the kind of business that I want to build. This is how I'm going to do it. And I quit that job and I started aggressively building the business that I have today. Being bored allows me to spend time thinking for myself. This is one of the themes on this channel in general, but I'm a very big proponent of thinking for oneself. Whether that's coming up with things from first principles or just trying to think through and challenge what is culturally implicit. When I am simply consuming ideas, whether that's through other forms of media, podcasts, books, news, I'm just bringing in information into my brain. But when I'm bored and I allow myself to consider my own thoughts on something, it gives me a much greater clarity in terms of what I actually do think. Instead of just parroting what I heard on NPR or I read in a news article this morning, what is it that I actually do think about this idea? It's super easy to just take on the opinions of people who we generally agree with. Whether that's a podcast host or a news anchor or a blogger, and just kind of port those ideas into our heads. I'm very guilty of this a lot of the time. But there is immense value in thinking for oneself. How does my life experience actually square up to what I am seeing in the world? Do I actually believe in these things, or is this just the right thing to believe in at the moment? Thinking critically about the world, myself, my life, is one of the most valuable things I can do. So often that gets lost in the chaos of all of the other things that are going on in my life. When do I have time to actually consider my beliefs, ideas, and values? Well, if I'm bored, that's something that can come to mind. Inviting boredom into my life allows me to be much more aware. It allows me to be aware of the world that's around me, which so often I do not pay attention to when I'm distracted, either by my phone or by the millions of things that are going on. Busyness is a great way to not pay attention to the seasons changing and the people around me in my life and just the environment that I exist in. Awareness and presence of the world that we really exist in is one of the greatest gifts we all have. That we can step outside and breathe in the smell of the air and feel the ground on our feet and realize that we're here right now on this planet. And boredom allows me to feel presence in a real way. It allows me to show up and to pay attention to what's around me. And when you show up like that, you start to see all of it. I see the beauty, I see the ugliness. I see the joy, I see the pain. And it's all available to me when I show up, when I allow myself to be present, to not be distracted by a million different things. Boredom can be a great tool, both very practically if you're trying to solve a problem or come up with a creative idea, but also spiritually. To simply show up more fully in the world, it is a requirement that we are bored. And now that I've embraced boredom, I realize it's not something to hide away from. It's not something I need to extinguish. It's actually a really beautiful part of existence. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Hi, Ivy. You get it?